Dennis, the DP, and they all worked on that for a full day. And then 6:30 came, Ryan and Emma were on set. Yeah, we got like, I think 6 takes, maybe 7 takes, but only 2 of those are kind of in the ideal time. And then again, the second night, come back the second night and get 5, 6, 7 takes, something like that. And I think the one we ended up using was the second or third take of the second night. But yeah, it was, Damien always jokes about the process of doing that was so funny because it's this really sort of romantic scene, and they're sort of casual and they're having a good time with it. Then as soon as he yelled cut, they'd have to run down the hill, get toweled off, catch their breaths, and then reset and walk up the hill and just be really casual again about it.
Which one did they use? Which take? Do you remember which one it was that they were like, yeah, that's the one?
I think it was the second or third take for the second night. And it was really funny too, because you'd watch them on the dailies, meaning every day you get the takes, just the raw takes from the day before. They're called dailies, and after that take, like the winner, the hero take, the whole crew just erupted in applause because everything went right. You know, the dancing worked, the camera worked. Because all the takes before that, something would go wrong. There would be one of them would miss a step, or the camera would accidentally crop the head off, or something. But that one, everything happened right, and the whole crew just erupted.
When you heard, after composing City of Stars, what was it like for you the first time you heard Ryan's vocal?
Great. Those are some of the best moments, is finally hearing the things come to life with the real voices. And Ryan and Emma's voices are exactly the kind of voices we were hoping for and dreaming about finding. They're just such real, authentic, grounded, genuine voices. They sound like real people, and when they sing, and that's exactly what Damien wanted the movie to be tonally. He didn't want it to be the kind of movie where a musical number starts and it feels like you clicked play on a CD player, and now you're hearing a studio vocal, and it just feels, we wanted to be able to slip in and out of song very seamlessly, and that has to do with their acting style, being able to transition, and music things and kind of techie things in terms of how you record them, but really their singing is a huge part of that, being able to sing naturalistically so that you really buy it and you're not taken out of it. Because the worst, at least for our taste, the worst kind of musical is the one where people start singing and you're kind of thrown by it.
Takes you out of the movie. Yeah. Let's talk about working with John Legend, who executive produced La La Land on the song Start a Fire. Mm-hmm. That must have been fun. That's a great song too.
Yeah, that was fun. That was totally different process than anything else in the movie. That song, every other song we approached like musical theater. So there was some narrative or emotional idea in the script that I would then compose the music for and then give to our lyricists, Pasek and Paul, and they would write the lyric for, and it was kind of, approaching it like a musical. With Start a Fire, we just approached it like a pop song, really. We knew it had to be more than a pop song. It had to kind of start as jazz and then turn into pop. But there was no real idea for it other than just like a catchy song, a fun song. So instead of doing it like composer, lyricist, that kind of style, we did a pop writing session. And John and myself and a couple of other people just sat in a studio for like 3 hours, I think it took, and just kicked ideas around, melodic ideas, lyrical ideas, just sort of back and forth, which is sort of what you do more in the pop music world, and just wrote it in like 3 hours, and then figured out sort of arrangement-wise how it could go from jazz to more pop. But it was incredible. One of the other really amazing memories I have was in that writing session, having John sing like 6 feet away from me, and he has such a powerful voice and like a world-class voice, and seeing something that like special, something that world-class up close, it's different. Like you could just tell like this person is different. This person has something very special, and it was really cool.
I'm gonna start thinking about some questions that you have, because I would like to open it up to the audience. And Jason has a microphone that he's going to bring around so everybody can hear you. But before we do, I wanted to ask you about this moment in the film. When I was at that screening, the first one, North American, 2:30 p.m., Chuck Jones Theater Telluride. Okay, it's right here. Emma Stone, audition, The Fools Who Dream. My jaw hit the floor. Tell us about composing the melody
Mhm.
and then working on the lyrics?
Mm-hmm. That was a song, like many of the songs in the movie, that we went back to in 2014, because again, we worked on this movie in 2011. Had some things there, like the Me and Sebastian theme, that was figured out in 2011, never changed after that. We had basically song demos, song ideas for every other song in the movie, but then when we went back to work in 2014, we thought, you know what, let's throw this one out, let's throw that one out, let's do better. And the audition one was one that we had an idea for back, but then decided to go back to the drawing board. So I went back to the drawing board in 2014, just tried to come up with something completely new, and it was the last melody of the whole movie that I waited to do. Like I said, I spent a long time trying to tackle Another Day of Sun. Someone in the Crowd was done in 2011. No. A Lovely Night was done in 2011. Parts of Someone in the Crowd was done in 2011, like that was done in 2011, but other parts of it were done in 2014. But anyway, so I spent like 2014 coming up with rewriting or writing new versions of the songs, but I kept saying to Damien, when should we look at the audition one? He said, just wait for that. And finally all the other melodies in the movie were figured out, and he said, okay, now it's time, compose that one. So I sat down at the piano like I always do, and it was one of the first ideas I had, the verse melody, just the... And he loved it, and I loved it, and yeah, it just came out really, really quickly. We didn't have the chorus yet, so that was a whole. Then was one of the where can it go from there, and that's where But actually, that part was figured out before, because we had that idea. This whole thing. That was an idea we had years before that we were going to use for the Another Day of Sun, for the traffic, and it didn't work there, and then so it was kind of in our back pocket, and then we decided, oh, how about if we use that as the chorus after I had that part, so we combined those ideas. But yeah, that I always say that audition came out kind of like easier than a lot of the other pieces in the movie. I think because I'd waited till the very end and it had been probably percolating for a while, and also I just had a really good sense by that time of what the scene was about, what the character was going through at that point in the story, what I just sort of felt inspired. I thought Damien had a really beautiful vision for what that scene was and what that story was with the ant and all of that. So yeah, it came out easily, and then Pasek and Paul wrote that lyric actually kind of more quickly than a lot of the others, I think for probably the same reasons.
Well, I started off by talking about how La La Land's going to be on digital on April 11th, and then 4K DVD and Blu-ray April 25th, but also mark your calendars for May 26th and May 27th, because that is going to be the world premiere of the music of La La Land, conducted by a 97-piece orchestra by Justin Hurwitz. World tour starting of all places at the Hollywood Bowl and then around the world. Tell us about this exciting tour.
I'm terrified. I'm obviously getting on the stage of the Hollywood Bowl is a dream that I didn't think would happen this soon, and it's a lot of people, and I'm going to prepare for it, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. But I'm really excited for people to see the musicians who made, a lot of the musicians who play there are going to be the musicians who played on the score, as many as we can get, and it's a score that I think really features musicianship. The way I orchestrate gives a lot of individuality to the players. You really a lot of the players have their own melodies. There's a lot of melody and counterpoints. The oboe's doing something melodic and the bassoon is doing something melodic, and which allows the musicians to really be expressive and really be musical. And you could feel that and you could see that in the recording sessions, just the sort of pride and individuality they would take with their own parts. Which I love orchestrating that way, because then you have a real dialogue between the musicians. You have people handing off to each other, and it's a great way to orchestrate, I think. So, but to get to actually see them do that, and to get to people to see them do it, and we're actually figuring out how the cameras can. You're going to see the movie behind them, but then the side screens, they're going to cover what the musicians are doing, so you get to actually see all those players, being really doing what they do and really bringing so much of themselves to it. So I'm excited for people to see that.
Well, I'm sitting in Terrace 5, row 1652, seats 7 and 8. I already got my tickets. I got them Friday. I was at a screening. I ran back to my room, went online to Ticketmaster, got my tickets, went back up to the Paramount to see another movie. But who's got questions? You've got one right there, young man.
Can we get this mic? Yes. All right, I'm going to try and be your roving microphone. Yes. I think our first question right here. What is your name, sir?
Marshall. Question for you, my friend. Hans Zimmer better watch out, because you're on the scene. But I wanted to ask about the epilogue, that whole composed track. What came first as far as the track, the composition, or how it was filmed, and then did you work with that? Because the whole song, the whole montage, everything is so beautiful and poetic. So,
thank you. So yeah, I composed and orchestrated and mocked that up before the movie was shot. I had to then go kind of reconfigure a lot of stuff afterwards, after the movie was shot, because in editing, all sorts of things happen and things change. But at the point I composed it, all the other melodies in the movie were figured out, all the songs were written, the main theme was there, all of it. So Damien and I talked about how do we use all those motifs, all those melodies, all those ideas from the movie to bring them back, have them represent different things, have them represent different moments in the story. I made a big piano demo of it. I made like an 8 + 9 minute piano demo of the whole thing. Again, many demos, lots of structural, figuring out the structure of it, and then orchestrated it, and then mocked it up so that we'd have like a pretty realistic mock. I wish I could look at you while I'm talking, but the camera's there. There we go. And then we used that to shoot to. So it was on set, it was playing, the actors could hear it, they could react to it, the camera could react to it, Damien could choreograph the camera to it. And then they put it in the Avid as they were editing it, and then naturally they ended up just shortening all sorts of things and extending things and changing things, so I had to kind of reconfigure a bunch of it. But we had a mock-up before the movie shot.
What I was going to say was so beautiful about it is, unlike most movies, that one track, that one composition took you on the entire journey of the movie. With you blended all the tracks so beautifully and transitioned it beautifully, especially that trumpet solo. And so it was really beautiful to listen to, because whether you're listening to it or watching the movie, you go on the journey with all the characters again, but in a different way. And so I just thought that was really beautiful. And so,
thank you.
All right, I think we have another question right here. Young man, what's your name?
Hunter. I'm a big fan of both of you, and my question is, how did you get to know Damien Chazelle?
Oh, it's a great story. Yeah. Well, I'll tell the full story.
Sure.
Damien and I went to college together. I started a band. I wanted to start a band freshman year, like first week of freshman year of college. I started asking around, like, hey, are you a musician? Do you know any musicians? I heard that Damien was an incredible jazz drummer in high school, so called him, just cold called him, said, hey, somebody gave me your number, I heard you're a drummer, do you want to start a band? We started a band with a few of our classmates called Chester French. We took it way too seriously for like over a year and a half or so. Damien and I quit sophomore year, about halfway through sophomore year, and started just working on movies. He had wanted to direct movies since he was a little kid. I was also thinking about film scoring. So we just went off and started to work on movies. The remaining guys kept the band going. And senior year started a big bidding war between all the major labels. They had Kanye West offer them their first deal. Pharrell offered them another deal. They ended up signing with Pharrell. at Interscope, and we were like, because we were seniors in college, and our former band, they were getting flown off every weekend to like LA and Atlanta and all these cool places and getting courted, and we were like, we blew it. That was our chance. That was our one chance.
I want to ask, I mean, so you went to college together. You've been through all this together before you even started making movies together. So, February 26th or 24th, you both have Oscars. So when you two just had like a moment, just the two of you together, did you look at each other and just go, yes, and give each other like a high five?
I think the first thing was I made fun of him for only having one. And he knew that was, he knew he's not going to hear the end of that for years, probably. No, it was great. I think I hugged him as I went up to the stage. And he gave, very sweet things he said in his speech. And we had a moment afterwards, and then I made fun of him.
Who else has a question? Jason?
Over here on your left side, and what is your name?
I'm Daniel. So my question is that Sebastian, in the beginning of the movie, the song that he listened to in his car, a song by Thelonious Monk. I was wondering why you chose that song in particular. Is Thelonious Monk like he's obviously one of the greats, but why that song?
Yeah, there was more of a thread in the original script for that song. The Sebastian character would talk about Monk as being kind of his ideal, and he just wanted to be Monk and play Monk-type music, and his story in the early drafts was about him letting go of some of that, and there was more of a thread. So like I remember he's listening to it in his car, and then he's practicing it in his apartment. That scene's still in the movie, and then there was a later scene at his jazz club where he's now playing Monk in his club at the end, and it's like kind of his version. It's a Japanese folk song. He's playing his version of Japanese folk song at the end of the movie. We ended up changing that and kind of scaling back the Monk, and all the rest of the jazz in the movie. Every other thing you hear is original. So we made a little bit less. In fact, I don't know if nobody noticed this at all, but the thing he's playing at his club at the very end that replaced what was going to be Japanese folk song at one time is kind of a bopped up version of the song Cincinnati that was in our first movie, Guy and Madeline. I kind of turned it into bop. We just thought that was, Damon and I have this joke where in his movies, in the universe of his movies, Guy and Madeline was a hit that everybody knows, and like people actually know that music. Like in actuality, like 10 people have seen the movie, but in the universe of Damien's movies, everybody knows that music. Those are standards, those are classics. So we ended up replacing Japanese folk song with one of our own, and then all the other jazz in the movie is like I took a lot of the songs from La La Land, like Another Day of Sun. I turned that into a jazz song when the John Legend character comes up and propositions Sebastian about joining his band. That's kind of a twisted jazz, sort of Latin jazz version of Another Day of Sun, because the scene is about ambition and things. A Lovely Night became the jazz piece after she gets her call back. So everything else in the movie, we kind of used our own material. But yeah, we just loved Monk, and we scaled it back a little bit in the story, but it stayed in the movie.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, April 11th, La La Land on digital. April 25th, La La Land on 4K, DVD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us here at SEVS here in Austin. Thank you so much, Justin Hurwitz.